The weight pockets are legal?
Yep, they are.
She helped us order them and everything, so that this should be the product that we get.
Yep. So the first thing you need to do is you need to make sure they're standing on both feet, obviously. And then I always just put the fake tail where I'm gonna want the length of the tail to be, because oftentimes, especially like this time of the year, he hasn't had his tail trimmed since like August. Hey, you two don't need to face bite. So what you're gonna do is I like to have the fake tail hit him right about the ergot. That's, again, sort of personal preference. So I'm just gonna, I just held the top and reached down and I put the bottom of the tail at the ergot.
Okay.
Then you're gonna separate the hair
Hold on, I
all
need
the
to,
way,
hold on.
all the way around the tailbone, right at that point where the top of the big tail was. And depending on the horse, you'll have more or less. This horse has pretty good amount, but the way I put these in works for horses with not a lot of tail too. And then I just twist this piece up and you can clip it. I usually have somebody hold it. So if I could borrow someone's hand, and if you just hold that up there, perfect. All right, then the part that I do a little differently is I put these tails in upside down and backwards. So you put the tail up like this. You bring the two poles down to where you're at, you reach your latch hook through, and you grab a good sized chunk of tail. Now the reason I do this is that you can have this braid here, what's going to turn into a braid, be really thick because the fake tail covers it. And so what it does, is it allows your tail, your fake tail, to be supported by a good amount of hair, and so over the show season, when these are going in a lot, you're not ripping out a lot of their real tail. So you can see I have two pretty good sized chunks of tail here.
Did that go through another grommet or another hole?
There's two holes
Okay,
right here. So
okay,
I
gotcha.
pulled hair through the two, and then I'm going to take my third chunk for my braid from right underneath where that fake tail is sitting.
Well, those
No
two
face
are,
biting.
But you didn't do this grommet.
Nope, that
No,
grommet
just
I
this,
don't do
okay.
yet.
Great.
Oh, they'll just face bite. And then,
whoop, sorry.
no, he won't. And then you braid it as tight as you can make this braid. And you can see how big this braid is, and I do that so that there's lots supporting that fake tail. Because especially the heavier ones, if you don't have enough size braid, you will,
That
It's
is
like at
pretty
the end of
thick,
the
that's
English.
nice,
yep,
actually.
you will lose quite a bit of tail every time you put it in. The other thing you can do, and I will often do if it's a long circuit, these two chunks that I pulled through, I'll braid individually, and then I can just leave those in. And then the next day when I go to put it in, I don't have to measure and everything again. I just pull those two little braids through and braid it.
Deb, did you see how this is set up right here? I don't know if you can get, but you see the two grommets here, and then for the braid, you're pulling the third piece underneath.
From underneath.
Yep, okay.
And then I always band with 2 to 3 bands so that if one breaks, you don't have a catastrophic failure. Dylan, nobody wants to scratch you behind. And then you just want to band that up tight. All right. Then, if you hold on to his tail and let go of the fake tail, so then you flip the fake tail over, and you see how the only thing their real tail has to hide is this right here. And so like I said, he's got a good amount of tail, but on a horse that doesn't, you have very little to hide because this whole braid is hidden by the fake tail. That's why I do it upside down.
Wow.
Whoa. Then you go through this top grommet here, and you grab the braid you've just made with your latch hook. And that's the only thing, you don't want to make it too thick so that you can't get it through that grommet. And you pull that through just like that. Then you reach down this fake tail, stand here, you twit, and you separate to the next grommet. And you pull, so this is his tail now that I'm pulling through. Okay. And you want to pull small bits, especially down here. If you try to pull too big amounts, you'll get a big tangle going on, and it's a pain in the butt, and then you have to start over.
Hey.
And you can pull down here as much as you want. You know, a good amount or a smaller amount, it doesn't matter. Then you're going to take your braid and the chunk that you've pulled through, and if I could have you hold back here, this is the only part of this that's a bit of a pain, is you do have to, it's easiest and quickest to have a helper.
Right.
Now, you can braid this if you want. I don't. I band it. So I'm banding the piece I've pulled through and his tail together.
And the braid.
And the braid, excuse me, yes. It's all his tail, I guess, at this
Right.
juncture. And again, you want to band that real tight. Thanks, Blake. And then what you can do is you're going to take and you're going to pull, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take that away from you if you pulled that. I just wanted to twist it. You're going to take and the under half, split in half, and pull it tight. Do you see how that pulls that band down tight?
Yeah.
Then you can let go. And then all of that braid, all of that band is covered by the fake tail. His
wow.
real tail only has to cover a little bit, and then when you let go,
Wow.
see that it's in there.
Oh,
Very
man.
nice.
And
That was
and so
fast,
then what you
too.
do is you take, because the
Right.
fake tail is where I want the length to be,
Right.
I would trim his real tail to match. Yep.
Wow.
And as you know, like I said, the first time of the year, I always have to trim some off because I leave them a little long over the winter. And then as he's going, if he goes to a show every weekend or whatever, you would just put the fake tail in at the same height. But if you measure to a point on their leg, rather than trying to make the fake tail match their tail, you generally get it in right. If you try to make them match, it's hard. They don't generally. So that's why I always measure to a point on their leg. And that
And if
works.
you've already cut the tail and the tail is longer than the normal tail, what would you do there if you're,
Well, I would always, so like if you've cut their real tail,
yeah, somehow, if they're,
if it's long, then I would put it into match. If they have like a pitiful short tail,
Yeah.
then I'm still gonna put the fake tail
Okay,
in the length
okay,
I want it, and the
gotcha.
real tail will blend,
Right.
blend into the
Right.
fake. You can see like, this hair is shorter and you couldn't,
Right.
like if that was all his tail,
Right.
I'd still put the fake
Right.
in where I wanted it, and his tail would match.
now that's below the ergot, so,
Well,
Okay,
it
I
isn't once he-
I
if you
have a
have
gelding that,
So see the fake
Oh,
is
I
hitting
see.
right now,
Okay,
and I'm
gotcha.
not gonna
And
trim
you
his
take
tail
it
right
down.
now,
right,
but.
right.
that had got fungus in his dock last year and lost almost his whole tail. Very, very thin.
Yep.